Over the years, many a film have been given a remake. It's nothing new, but the trend continues. Sometimes remakes can be abysmal, and you question why the hell was that even a choice to remake that movie, because the original is such a classic. Other times, you get surprised. You get remakes that actually perform better and are received better than their original counterpart. Where do you fall? That's the question. 7 movies we're going to be talking about today. 7 movies that have originals, that have remakes. And we're going to take a look at the voting poll that I put out and the scores and exactly how they felt and where I think I belong. What camp do I belong in with the voting? So let's get into it. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Yes, and yeah, I've been bringing a poll every day of a movie and its remake and asking you to vote upon it, asking you to let me know where you sit. Now obviously I have to take these votes at face value. There's going to be troll votes, there's going to be people who haven't seen the original, maybe have just seen the remake or vice versa and voted for that one. There's going to be people that have they seen neither and stick a vote in just for prosperity, I should say. But yeah, so we're going to take a look at them now. This here, see this, if this ever pops up, you can scan that if you're watching on a TV or a computer. Scan it with your phone and you'll be able to subscribe to the channel. Go ahead, why not? It's not going to cost you anything. So here we are, we're going to begin. Okay, we're going to begin with the Magnificent Seven. Now, yes, the Magnificent Seven, the 1960s version and the 2016 version. Now, some people are going to cry aloud on this one, saying, well, Magnificent Seven was a remake of its own, of the Seven Samurai. I know that, okay, but just go with it. I'm just going with these 2 versions, okay? One day I might put up Seven Samurai versus that original Magnificent Seven. You never know. So with that, get into the polls, get into the posts and vote upon yours. There's still time to do it. This is as of time of recording. You know, the polls may have changed slightly since then. But anyway, so Magnificent Seven. This had 259 votes, which means 259 of you came out and voted for it. I believe a lot more of you could come out and do the voting. Why not try to make that happen? So 1960 version got 67% of those 259 votes, while 2016's Denzel Washington, Chris Pratt got 33%. Okay, so that's 174 people voted for the 1960 original and 85 voted for that remake version. Like I said, it may be that some of these people haven't seen the original. I've seen both of them. What are my thoughts on them? Okay, so the 1960s Magnificent Seven is a classic film. It is, you know, it's a great movie. It truly is. And then, you know, they produced this new one that even talking about it seems, I don't know, like just a stain, so to speak. That being said, I didn't mind it. I didn't think it was a bad film. I mean, Denzel Washington always delivers in any role that he does. But it just doesn't, it seems like one of those films just wasn't required. And, you know, I'm surprised that 85 people voted for it, to be honest with you. But there we go. Me personally, I don't have the original in the collection. I do have the remake, but my vote would go with the original, just because it is, well, the original and the classic. It's a good film. Yeah, so that's where I would sit with that one. Surprising sometimes how some of these polls turn out. Next one, A Nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984 versus the 2010 remake with Rorschach in it from, you know, from Watchmen. What's his name? It's free. Oh, I can't remember his name. It's free name, Jake. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, Robert Englund versus him. 499 votes, nearly 500 votes on this one. That's good. That's very good for me. I'm sure some people was trolled in this one, seriously, because I'm always searching for that 100%er. Will that ever happen? Will there ever be a movie? Because sometimes you put a film up like this up, and some comments say, "Are you serious with this question? Are you serious?" Yeah, I am serious, because you know, I do wonder whether one day I'll actually hit on something that will be 100%, 0%. It's not happening, and with things like this, you wonder why, because 1984 versus 2010. So yes, 92% of people, that's 459 people, voted for the original, while 8%, 40 people voted for 2010. I can't believe that 40 of those votes are troll votes or anything like that. A lot of them could be people maybe not seeing the original, younger audiences who look at the original and think it's a very dated looking film. It is quite dated, but it's Robert Englund. It's A Nightmare on Elm Street. You know, it's a classic. It is. Take away the poor, you know, some of the effects ain't very good. You know, the stretchy arms look a bit ridiculous. It is a very low budget film. It was at the time, but it is a classic. It is, you know, and I like the Elm Street films. So, you know, my vote goes with that one. But come on, 40 of you voting for the original. If you're one of the people watching this and you voted for that original film, not the original, for the remake film, please let me know in the comments. It's not to mock you, although you're probably deserved. But no, seriously speaking, let me know if you were one of the people that voted for the remake, and let me know why. No one steps up and says, I voted for that. Maybe they're not watching, very possibly, but there we go. Anyway, let's move on. So next one is a Disney classic. You'll see a few of them in this episode, actually, because I started rotating between some Disneys and things like that. But it's The Jungle Book. 1967, the animated classic film versus its live action counterpart from 2016, directed by Jon Favreau, Iron Man fame. That was quite well received at release, wasn't it? I think that's quite a, you know, I think people hold it in quite high regard for a Disney live action remake. It's not bad in what it does. But anyway, 215 votes. 87% of those votes, 187 votes, went for the original, while 28 people, being 13% of the votes, went for the remake version. Yeah, I can understand that. Totally, I do. I'm surprised that the remake isn't a tad heavier. I think it was, at the time, it was well received, but it's now sort of pretty much a forgotten movie. The original is a classic. It is. It's, you know, it's got some fantastic songs in it, some fantastic characters, and you know, I enjoy the original. I enjoyed the remake. I do. I thought the remake was very good in what it did. You know, I don't know how it looks now. It's been a while since I've watched it. Me personally, I sit in the camp of the original. But funnily enough, I'd probably watch the remake before I watch the original again. Just one of those things, isn't it? I don't know why, but there we go. So what did you vote for? Let me know in the comments. We're going to jump back to another a horror film now, a classic horror film that I thought would have got more votes. I say a classic, I'm just using other people's term on this one, and that's Halloween. John Carpenter's original came out in 1978, while Rob Zombie's one came out in 2007. This is what we're looking at, these two here. It only garnered 285 votes. Where were all you Halloween fans? Why weren't you voting for this one? Elm Street got nearly 500. Are the Elm Street films preferred over the Halloween films? Possibly. I wonder how it'd be if I went Halloween up against Elm Street, what the scores would come out as there. So anyway, so it's one of the ones where I thought maybe, oh, you know, it's going to go top heavy one side. But I'm not surprised, really, in a sense, because, well, 90% of people voted for the original and 10% voted for the 2007 Rob Zombie one. 256 people versus 29 people. 256 for 90%, 78. 29% represent that, 10% for the 2007. Okay, I've seen both of them, okay? I have neither of them in the collection. This is where I upset horror fans, because I don't like that original movie at all. I think it's boring. I think it's dull. I think nothing happens in it. It's obviously a very cheap movie. I mean, it was at the time. I can't take that away from it for what it's done for cinema and things like that. But it's slow. Its pacing is bad. I think it's highly overrated. It's got a good tune. You know, the Halloween theme tune by John Carpenter's very good. But, you know, it's geezer just playing peekaboo, essentially. And, yeah, and, you know, some of the shots in it, Jesus Christ, when the kid comes out and he's killed his sister, you have this long lingering shot on the parents just stood there looking at him, not saying nothing to him. Or what have you done to your sister? And then they're just lingering there like, and it just goes on and goes on and goes on and go. And you got shots like that in it. They just linger on nothing, right? And you're like, why aren't you cutting away? You should cut away from this. Don't cut away, otherwise the runtime will be bloody 15 minutes long. Then you got the Rob Zombie one. The Rob Zombie one I saw at release. Of course I did. I can't remember it. So to be honest, right, I would probably vote for the Rob Zombie one, just because I dislike that first one so damn much. But then the Rob Zombie one's not a film either that I want to sit down and watch again. Oh, there we go. You can unsubscribe now, horror folks. Anyway, after that, yeah, let's go to the next one. Cinderella, another Disney classic. 227 votes. You got 1960 animated version versus that 2015 live action one. 89% of people, that's 202 people, voted for the animated original, while 11%, 26 people, voted for the 2015 remake, with Lily James in it, who went on to play Pamela Anderson TV series, and she's in some other stuff as well. Yesterday, she's a very attractive girl, actually, isn't she? Anyway, so 227 votes for Cinderella. Obviously, I've seen both of them. I have the remake in the collection. I don't have the original in the collection. I was never a fan of the original. You know, it's even as a young lad, you know, my kind of testosterone kicked in, you know, the sort of machismo kind of effect. And I always saw this as a girls' film. It's a girls' film. So even though I've seen it, it wasn't really a Disney film for me as a kid growing up. You know, Disney Princess and all that. But I liked the remake. I thought the remake was very good. Very well done. Fantastic looking, actually. And the remake would get my vote. I'd go into that camp of 11% of people that voted for the remake. To be honest, yeah, that's where I'd sit. That's that one. Then we go back to another horror. John Carpenter, yet again. And now this one here, I would have thought would have hit 100% one way. And it's The Fog. Yeah, The Fog. 1980 version. You know, Jamie Lee Curtis is in it. Adrian Barbeau is in it. Versus the 2005 version starring Superman, Clark Kent, Tom Welling from Smallville. 239 votes. 93% of people, 223 people, voted for the 1980 original, where 7% of people, 16 people, voted for the remake. Now, it could be, like I said, 12 votes. It could be that some of these people have only seen the remake and not the original. I don't know, but come on, people. This is The Fog we're talking about. How can 16 of you like the remake? That film was dreadful. That's got to be one of the worst remakes ever committed to screen. Seriously speaking, what's going on? But no. So, yeah, 223 people versus 16. 93% versus 7%. Where do I sit? I'll tell you what, right? That original film used to scare the pants off of me as a child. It was haunting. It was a very effective movie in that sense. You know, the just the allure of the you know, the unknown that comes rolling in with the mist, with the fog when it rolls in. Then you've got the zombie element to it. These you know, it's that film. There's imagery in that film that kind of burns into your brain, and the eyes of the zombies, or the whatever you want to call them, the undead, whatever you want to call them. It's a great film. It really is. That's a long forgotten John Carpenter film. It doesn't get too much in the way of mention these days. Yeah, no, a great film. Whereas I've seen the 2005 film back in 2005 when it came out, and 2005 is where it will stay. The film's horrendous. It's crap. I don't know. It's a stain. It's a stain on humanity, that film. So you know, yeah, that's my thoughts on that one. So obviously the original wins for me, hands down there. And then we come to a more recent controversial remake. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Yeah. 1937, the original, Disney's first long feature-length animated movie. I think the first ever feature-length animated movie ever done. Versus 2025's monstrosity that, you know, Rachel Zegler, that's her name, wasn't it? Is it Rachel Zegler? Am I getting her name? I am getting her name right, yeah. Okay, so 269 people voted. Okay, 269. 94% of people voted for the 1937 film. That's 253 people. 16 people, 16 of you, decided to vote for the 2025 remake. I can't believe it. 16 people trolling me out there, seriously? Or is it that you've never seen the original because it's so old and you've only seen that remake? But that's 6%. 6% of people saw the 2020 or voted for the 2025. I want to believe that these are just people having a laugh with me. Seriously speaking, I do. Let me know down below if you were one of these people that voted for the remake version of Snow White. I am curious, and I want to know why you're not in an insane asylum locked up. But there we go. So I've seen the original, obviously, and I started watching the remake version only to switch it. I couldn't do it. It was bad. So obviously I vote for the original. But yeah, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't. Oh, seriously, you'd have had to have strapped me down, held my eyelids open with some sort of torture device, and played that film for me to get through it. Rachel Zegler is, she just needs a slap. She's got one of those faces you just want to slap, you know. I'm not condoning violence towards women. I'm not. But she's just awful. She's horrendous. I don't know, but there we go. So 1937 one, a true classic in its own right, but not a film that I have in the collection. I do actually have it on Blu-ray, I have to lie, when my kids were younger. DVD even, not even Blu-ray, sorry. But even the original is not a film that I would consider sitting down and watching. Now, I kind of grown out of a lot of these Disney films, with maybe the exception of Peter Pan being the original Peter Pan film. With these early Disney films, maybe The Fox and the Hound, I'd watch that. But other than them, I don't think there's too many that I'd actually sit down and watch. So, yeah, Snow White get my vote, because undisputed it is a classic, just not really one I'd ever want to sit down and watch again. So there we go, folks. There's the 7 films that we've spoke about and had a look at the scores for today. I'll be back in a week's time with another. Remember, if you hit that, you can subscribe to the channel, scan it if you're on a TV or whatnot, and get involved in the voting. Go to my polls in my posts. You can go back, you know, and you can still vote on the old ones, change the votes, whatever, or start anew from after Snow White, whatever it is that falls after Snow White, and get them up for next week. Maybe implement a bit of change. Cast your vote. See you later. Take care.